Listen, my printer makes music.
Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter and Bland Designs, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, December the 20th, 2021, episode number 245, and it's the 651st day of COVID and only 4 sleeps until Santa comes? 4 sleeps or 5 sleeps? 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 5 sleeps. 5 sleeps. Okay. Thank goodness I have hands or I wouldn't be able to do math. Anyways, what have I been up to in the last week? Well, I did another quickie quilt. This is going to be a gift, and I'll just put it up here on my screen. Just have to find it. So this quilt was from a kit, and I posted this on the Quilter's Way, the group I belong to online. And one lady said, wow, you did an amazing job on the curves. Well, no, I did not, because those are printed on the actual fabric. This kit had a panel that had those circles and things on it. And, excuse me, frog in my throat, as usual. And you cut them into strips and you did some other things to it. And it came with all this fabric and you put it together. So as I said, it was very quick. It's a throw. It's not that large, but it's enough, to snuggle up with if you're watching television or reading a book or something like that. And it is in blacks and grays. There's a bit of a color shift in the picture, I think, but that's what they are. And I thought it was perfect because the person I'm giving it to is a guy, and it's got a very masculine feel to it. And on the back of it, I didn't take a picture of the back. I always forget to take pictures of the backs of my quilts. The backing fabric I used is a black and gray camouflage, which I also thought was very appropriate for this individual. As I said, it is going to be a gift. It's a gift for as a housewarming gift because he's moving into a new apartment at the first of the year. So it's all done, and I quilted it on Lucy, and you can see that the quilting on this is also very contemporary in style, very geometric. And I thought that again was most appropriate for a male. So, because this person is not a flowers and hearts kind of person, okay? So, anyways, I thought this would be kind of nice for him, and I hope he likes it. So that's one of the things I've been up to. The other thing I've been up to is I made another wall hanging, and I hope she doesn't watch this video, and I don't think she does. This is for Walter's niece. She has a Doberman. She loves Doberman. She grew up with a Doberman, and it's a sweet dog. It's a big dog, and the dog's name is Freddie. So I thought I'd do a little experiment, and the experiment turned out like this, as I show you right now. Now, that is her dog. That's Freddie. I went to her Facebook page, found a picture of Freddie, put it into Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, cleaned it up a little bit. It had like a really busy background, and there was more of Freddie in that picture. It showed full front shot of him with his legs and everything, and he had a bandana around his neck. It was a cute picture, but I just knew when I went to digitize it for embroidery that it would never be able to handle it. There would be so many colors that it would take you 1,000 years to print it out. So I simplified it, and then I put it into Artistic Digitizer, the digitizing program by Janome, and played around with that until I got what you see in front of you. It did take a little bit over an hour to stitch it all out, but I was really happy with the end result. I mean, this dog is very, very dark brown, almost black, and, not a lot of contrast and colors in it. So yeah, it turned out, I think, pretty good, and it does look like him. I hope she sees that it's her dog as well. So I decided then to use some other fabric and create my own sort of design well, it's not really my own design, you know, square and a diamond kind of a thing, or square and a square is, you know, it's a classic motif in, or I should say classic block in quilting. And put that all together, and then I quilted it. I just did it on the M7, and I did simple ruler foot echoing kind of lines in the triangles, and it's also out here. I don't think you can see it very well because my thread matched pretty much the brown that's in this. And yeah, and so it's a little wall hanging. It measures about 14 or 15 inches square. And something she can like hang on a wall or do whatever with. And I just thought it might be kind of nice. Now I am thinking of making her a larger quilt with a Dalmatian theme to it, not Dalmatian, Doberman theme. I have found some Doberman fabric in a couple of different spots. It will take me a bit to get them, and they're a little on the pricey side because they're kind of a specialty pattern. But if she'd like, I'll make her in the new year a quilt as well with Doberman on it. Maybe I can reproduce Freddie on it somewhere on a quilt as well. We'll see. So anyways, I was really happy with the way that turned out. It didn't take me all that long to make, well, especially once I got this part done. So yeah, I hope she likes it. Okay, so that takes me to the channel of the week, the YouTube channel of the week. Now, this one's a little different. And the reason I'm directing you to it is because of one of the playlists that it has that I found very interesting. Lately, I've been on this sort of history kick on YouTube, to watching, you know, and I love British history, especially. So, and I love domestic history or social history, as it's called. Well, this is called Servants, Life Below Stairs, and I think it's a 3-part series. It's relatively old. I think it was done back in maybe 2012 or something like that on the BBC. But I discovered this by accident, started watching it, and it's really, really good. It's very, very informative. And if you ever watched Downton Abbey, you know, there's the life upstairs, the life downstairs. Well, of course, that's very fantasized. And this person who put this together, she's a professional, you know, person. I'm trying to think of her name and I can't right now. Well, it'll probably be on the YouTube. But anyways, you get kind of a very realistic look of what it was like to be in domestic service in the Victorian age and into the early part of the 20th century. So the site I'm sending you to is called Anarchi.st. And there's a lot of very interesting video series on that. They're not all about servants. There's a lot of political stuff on there. And that's not something I really do enjoy, but it's the one where I found this series. So anyways, as I ramble on here, let me take you to the little review that I did of this. This week's YouTube channel of the week is called Anarchi.st, and this is a very interesting YouTube channel that I stumbled upon because it seems to have quite a collection of different documentaries about a whole variety of different topics. But the reason why I'm bringing it up today is because I was really interested in this series, a 3-part series called Servants, the True Story of Life Below Stairs. And I actually did view the first one of these. I'm just going to show you what this looks like up here. If I can get, well, I guess I can't without playing this ad, and I don't really want to play the ad, but here we go. And this is the series here. Oops. If I can keep my cursor in the right spot. And I found this really, really interesting. If you look at the description, it says servanthood is the blurred line between wage slavery and chattel slavery, but in recent years, popular costume dramas set it in the British colonial period, such as Downton Abbey and Poldark, whitewash this for the sake of romanticism. This is the first of 3 in a 2012 documentary series, which looks at what life was like for British servants in that period. Unfortunately, what appears as history here is still the reality for millions around the world, including children. So this was a documentary series that was on the BBC back in 2012, but I found it really enlightening and really interesting. And if you're interested in social history, I think you'll find this interesting as well. So that's The Anarchist, but take a look at the playlists and you should be able to find this one called Servants, the True Story of Life Below Stairs. So you'll find the link for that in the show notes below. You'll find the link for Stephen and Walter Live, and we talked about a real mishmash of things. We were a little heavy on the discussion of the latest trends, if you call it that, of COVID and how our government in Ontario is handling it, and rapid testing kits, and people are lining up to get the freebies because they either want to travel this Christmas. Idiots. Sorry. If you're one of those people that want to travel, I don't care what your excuse is, you're still being an idiot. And our government is putting in restrictions on that, as they should be. I just don't think they've gone far enough. But anyways, we discussed all of that on Stephen and Walter Live, and we talked about Christmas coming up and what we have planned and everything. And yeah, so that's all there. And we also talked about, or I also have a link to the Idiot Quilter Presents. I actually have an interview this week with Angela Mitchell, a new friend and subscriber to my channel, who's also has her own channel that you may want to check out. And she's a really superior sewist as well, though she's very humble about it. But I don't know. I don't think she should be that humble, because she's very good. Anyways, there's that interview. You can check that out. So Chatty, episode 39. Walter and I explore the world of walking feet and Genomi's version of it called an AccuFeed system, because somebody brought that up, I think, on a Stephen and Walter Live about a week or so ago, what the difference is. And so we thought we would try to clear up the mystery. I'm not sure if we cleared it up all that well or just made it even more confusing. But anyways, if you're interested in finding out what we feel is the difference between a standard walking foot and the AccuFeed system, then that So Chatty is for you. And of course, the link to what I just said about the YouTube channel. Okay, so what's pissing me off this week? Well, yes, I'm sorry. It goes back to COVID. I know we are all COVID exhausted. I am as well. But in the last week, our government had decided to hand out free rapid testing kits. I don't have any problem with that. That's fine. I think rapid testing kits give you a false sense of security, because according to Walter in his research, they are only 81% accurate. You could get tested one day and the next day you could show signs that you have COVID because of the timing thing or whatever. So I suppose it's better than nothing. But, you know, people are lining up to get these free kits. Why? Because our stupid Ontario government decided, oh yeah, they would distribute them at some select LCBOs. LCBOs, for those of you that don't live in Canada or Ontario, are basically government-run liquor stores. That's how it works here in our province. You have to go through a licensed liquor store from the government, and the government controls it. It's not like down the States where you can walk into a grocery store or into a little privately owned liquor store shop and pick up a bottle of wine or whatever you want. Here it's much more regulated, although you now can go into a grocery store, some grocery stores, and pick up some limited selections of wines and beers. But anyways, I digress, as usual. They decided that would be a good place to distribute them. Well, okay, let's stop and think about this for just a minute. Actually, since this is all government run, it would save the government money, because it basically, I think they were getting an employee or employees from the liquor stores that were handing these out to, you know, stand outside with a table with these boxes of rapid test kits on them. I think there's 5 test kits or 5 test things, whatever, in each kit, and hand them out. Okay, so, you know, they're not having to pay other people extra money to do this. However, not every liquor store had a supply of these. So that limits it. You had to travel to one that had them. So the other thing too is, So that doesn't make it very convenient for some people, depending on their means of transportation. The other thing was, they weren't really letting the liquor stores know when they were going to get a supply of them. So people would go thinking they could get it at a certain liquor store. They may have found that this liquor store was listed as having them. They'd get there and they didn't have them, didn't know when they were coming. Didn't have a clue. So people were standing in line for literally hours to get a rapid test kit. Now, from what I saw, there was nothing you needed to sign. There was nothing you needed to show. You just stood in the line. You walked up. They handed you a kit. Bye-bye. Merry Christmas. Bob's your uncle. Okay, great. So I don't understand why it was taking 45 minutes to an hour to get one of these kits. Now, maybe that was people were standing in line waiting for them to arrive so they could get one. I don't know. But that's what the news said. They showed on the news that in one of the major shopping centers in Toronto, people were lined up all the way around the mall. And this is a huge, huge shopping center. And we're there waiting 45 minutes to an hour or longer to get one of these kits. And then, of course, they ran out. And you didn't know how many kits they were going to have. So if you were trying to estimate whether or not you should get in that line and had a chance of getting one, it would have been impossible to do so. Why? And now there are no more to be had, apparently. But the government has 10 million or something on order. Yeah, if their delivery service is anything like the delivery services, well, if they're coming by Canada Post, screw that idea. Because, that's not happening with Canada Post. And, it's just been botched again. The whole system has been botched again. But you want to know something? People are their own worst enemies as well. Suddenly, people are demanding rapid test kits. And why is that? It's Christmas. What do people want to do? I've heard this all over the place. Oh, last year, Christmas was just canceled. It was just so bad. We couldn't see our family. We couldn't see our friends. But this year, it's better because, I've got vaccinated. I've been double vaxxed. And as a side note, by the way, I am now triple vaxxed because Walter and I both got our boosters yesterday for that. So anyways, people are thinking it is safe to gather. Well, with this new variant out there, the Omicron, now the government has put restrictions on. You can only have 10 people in your house at one time, and they have some other restrictions. Some weird things here, though, with those restrictions. You can only have 10 people in your house, but you can have 10 people at a table in a restaurant. Okay, something's not right here. And they've done some other things, and none of it makes any sense. Again, the conservative government that is in power in our province, they have an election coming up this late spring. They should have a new slogan. It should be too little, too late. Because that's basically what it's been since day one with COVID with them. So, anyways, people are thinking, okay, I'm getting together with family and friends. I'm going to make sure I'm tested. The other thing is, there's a whole bunch of people trying to get out of our country or to go to other parts of our country flying because it's Christmas. And it's the grand exodus, right? We have it every year at Christmas time. Well, the last 2 years, counting this year too, it's been a little different. Idiots. This is non-essential travel. Okay, I know. You want to see grandma, grandpa. You want to see cousin Betty. Whatever for this. And you haven't seen them in a year, 2 years. There's a marvelous device that everybody has pretty much in their home in one shape or size or form. You either have a laptop, you have an iPad, you have a phone, or whatever. You can do Zoom. You can do FaceTime with these people. Yeah, sure, it's not exactly the same as being physically in their presence, but let's look at it this way. When you walk in the door of a place and do your huggies and kissies, which you should not do right now, after that initial 2 minutes in the door and everything, the novelty's worn off. You've seen them. Now you can have what do you do with them? You have a conversation. What are you doing with them when you physically meet up with them that you can't do with them through a screen? Zoom has shown us that. It has proven to us that we can still have social contact, face-to-face, personal social contact through our electronic devices. Now, I do say this from a point of view that I am not a huggy, kissy person. So not touching somebody is just fine with me, and having somebody not touch me is perfectly fine with me as well. But it's not the end of the world if you can't hug grandma. It's really not. What's more important is that you can see her and have a conversation with her. And you can. Not you, and perfectly safe. Grandma, you have no worries about giving grandma COVID or putting grandma in a situation that's going to compromise her health, because you can't get this disease through a screen. But nevertheless, people still are insisting on it. Oh, yeah. And then people use the excuse, well, it's been so long. We haven't been anywhere and we're so exhausted. We're all COVID exhausted. Suck it up, buttercup. So the government is appeasing these people by handing out free rapid test kits. Well, rapid test kits are not a cure. They are not a vaccine. All they do is possibly create more anxiety, because now you're wondering, okay, what color is it going to turn, or however these work. Now, I know about the anxiety from these because Christmas Day, I'm supposed to be going to my sister's. Now, my sister, her husband, her kids, which are both adults, my nephew and niece, have all been double vaxxed. And so is Walter and I. We've been triple vaxxed, as I've already mentioned. There are some other people coming that are family as well. Now, they're her in-laws. So her father and mother-in-law are coming. They're in their 80s. Their health is good, except her father-in-law has had a bout with some oral cancer, which he's fine right now, but, you know, he had to go through treatments and that, so his immune system is a little bit weakened, maybe a lot weakened, I don't know, but he has been double vaxxed. And her husband's sister with her husband and 2 adult children are coming as well. There will be 10 of us. That is within the regulations the government has set. We've all been double vaxxed, minimum. Okay. However, my sister's mother-in-law and sister-in-law decided that we should all be rapid tested before the event. So on Christmas Day morning, each of us is going to do a rapid test to make sure at that point in time we are not symptomatic. Okay. Now, on the one hand, it is probably a good thing to do this because my niece, my sister's daughter, works in a store, retail. They are following all the rules that are put in place. People can't come in unless have masks. You know, she's been double vaxxed. She has to wear a mask. All the employees have to wear a mask. Okay. But, you know, you don't know what people are like. There's been a lot of people that have been trying to fool the system. You know, they're idiots with this. So you can't be sure. And, you know, someone may not come in hacking up a lung. That doesn't mean they wouldn't test positive. Okay. My nephew is going to college. I think he spends 2 or 3 days a week at home doing his courses, and he goes in 2 or 3 times a week for in-person classes. But they're college students, and you know what the college students have been like. One of the reasons why this disease has been spreading, especially in towns that have universities or colleges in them, is because the young people are out partying, and when they get partying, they throw all caution to the wind. I'm sorry, but they're young, they're irresponsible, because that's the way people are in their early 20s, late teens, right? Think about our own past. I don't like to think about it because I had a lot of fun, but I did some things I'm not proud of in those years, you know. So, you know, you don't know what he's been exposed to, even though he's wearing his mask and he's double vaxxed. So, at first, when my sister said we were going to do this and everything, and she was going down to stand in line and get one of these rapid tests, and she had her husband going off to another location to do the same thing, and she said, we'll get you a couple as well. And I said, okay, thank you, because I'm not standing in line. I'm not going down, standing in line with a whole lot of other people that you don't know what their status is. Yeah, great. You're supposed to be 6 meters apart. Yeah, okay. You're standing with a whole lot of other people. In the case of the ones that were indoors, distributing them indoors in shopping centers, well, you're indoors, right? All kinds of shoppers around. So you're talking for potential there for a super spreader. So yeah. Now, my first reaction to this was if we could not get a rapid, if my sister couldn't get us a kit, we weren't going to my sister's. I want to go. I do. But as I said, her mother and father-in-law are much older, and I don't want to be the only one in the room that didn't do a rapid test, because that's going to create anxiety in other people. I mean, yeah, they can be pretty much sure, 90%, 95%, 99.9% sure that, Walter and I don't have it. But how do you know for absolutely sure? Okay. I'm still very apprehensive about Christmas Day, even though we're all going to do the rapid testing, and I'm pretty much certain that, well, put it this way, if I take the test on Christmas Day morning and it says I'm positive, that just killed Christmas for me. Especially since I'm double vaxxed, now triple vaxxed, and always wear my mask. And I've been very, very cautious throughout this whole thing. So, yeah. But at least then I know, well, I'm not going to go and spread it to anybody else, because I just wouldn't go to my sister's on Christmas Day. So, yes. If anything we can say about this coming Christmas season, it's going to be one full of anxiety. And that's just not the Christmas spirit, is it? There'll be those, though, who will throw all caution to the wind and say, well, it's my right. I deserve this. I'm going to have a good time. Well, bully for you. It's just not your right to spread this disease around. So, anyways, I hope everybody has a safe and happy Christmas. And maybe next year we'll be okay. I think we all said that last year. Okay, that's sad. Let's move on. Okay, get off the sad topics. Let's talk about what's new. Well, I got some fabric from a local quilt store. They're having the 12 days of Christmas sale. And this is one. It's called Annie's. I'm going to throw it up here on the screen so you can see it. And here's what I bought. And, well, it was a good price. It was, I think, 25% off of the regular price per meter. I bought 2 meters of each. This is from the Northcott 10th anniversary Canadian line. I love this line of fabric that they have. And some of this is new. Well, I think these are all new designs. New to me, anyways. Do I have a plan for them? Nope. But they're pretty and I like them. It was a good price, so I bought 8 meters in total of fabric here. So I'll have to think about what I want to do with these and save them for that special project. You always hear me talk about that special project that when you're going to use the special fabrics with. Okay, so and that's about the only thing new. I've got Walter's gifts all wrapped up. And he has mine all wrapped up for me. A little bit more about Christmas for us anyways in a few minutes. But right now, I want to show you another picture. And this is what I've been making on my 3D printer. So I found this model for making these little trees. And I thought they were the cutest little things. They take about 5 hours to print out. And these three, you see, I did in 3 different types of filament. The one in the foreground is done in gold, obviously. And then there was one done in white. And the one that's sort of glowing here and looks shimmery, looks like ice, that's with what they call transparent filament. And I think the effect is really cool. And the person that designed these made them so that you could put a little battery operated tea light on the inside. And that's what's happening here with this one that's glowing. And they look really cute. And they're very strong as well. They're not like really thin on the plastic, like some things can be when you make them. So I made a whole bunch of these and stuck them in the things that I was giving out to like the neighbors and a couple of other people as well, like to my sister, because I thought these are just really cute. I made a great big huge one that sits in my living room, upstairs in my family room actually, and I put it on one of those rotating discs that I showed you some time ago, that I've got the doll that sits behind me that's continually going around, and I've got an LED light in it that fades to different colors, and it looks really cool. So I was really pleased with this little model that I found. Yeah, I love making things on the 3D printer for Christmas, but you know, have a holly jolly plastic Christmas, I guess, with all the things that I have made. So yeah, now actually my printer has been idle for the last 2 days because I haven't made anything, which is astounding because I'm constantly making things on that printer. So one of my things I'm going to do today is I'm going to look around and see if I can find things that are a little bit more unique and try my hand at making something that might be a little bit more of a challenge. You know, think outside of the box, press the envelope, whatever they call all that stuff. Okay, so that takes me to Blast from the Past. Here's another video from my trip to Australia in 2019. I'm telling you, talk about wanting to travel. I would love to be in Australia right now, although it would be nice to go to Australia if they were COVID-free too, if we all were COVID-free, because right now it's summer. Today, I think today, tomorrow. Actually, it's already tomorrow there now. Today. Okay, that gets confusing. So, it's basically the first day of summer in Australia. So, put a shrimp on the Barbie. They actually don't say that, you know. And hit the beach. But I can dream, can't I? But at least I have my videos. So, I'm going to stick the latest one. This is about the Brisbane Planetarium, which was kind of interesting. And yeah, here it is.
Okay, so it's Sunday morning and we're on Adelaide Street in Brisbane, and we're going to be catching a bus to go to, what's it called?
Mount Quilter.
Mount Quilter, and apparently there's a botanical garden there and there's a planetarium and whatnot, and we bought a daily kind of pass thing where we tap on, tap off to go on this, and this will get us around wherever we want to go, pretty much the city. And we got that because we thought maybe it would give us a chance to explore further out from the downtown area. We want to go to other places since we've been all through the downtown quite a bit. So we'll see how this all works.
Okay. Tell me about this place we're waiting for the bus to go to.
It's Mount Quilter. It's a, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's COOT-THA. Well, anyway, so it's got to be an Aboriginal name. Anyway, so it's a botanic garden, and it's a mountain, so that the bus will drop you off at the top, and it's I've got a lookout there that overlooks the city. And then there's a planetarium at the bottom somewhere. It's about a 40-minute move to get to the planetarium. So, but we can do that. So,
Yeah, well, it's downhill, isn't it?
it's downhill, yeah.
Good, we can just roll.
So it might be kind of interesting to see.
Well, we'll see what we see.
So we're at the Mount Quilter Summit Lookout.
Lucky enough it ended up okay, you know, like and he actually enjoys coming out, doesn't he? Every year, always going up to and he's just close. You see what he's never going for years.
I think you can go down this way.
This way?
Yeah.
Oh, every single day, mate. Like I said, today's the first day.
Okay, so we're at the lookout. Now we're heading back to the Botanical Gardens, and this is the trail to the Botanical Gardens. And when they said trail, I was sort of thinking interlocking bricks, cement, stone, concrete, an escalator, but apparently not. Apparently this is kind of dirt, and I'm in open toes.
There's somebody parked there.
Ew. Gross. Okay, that's not a natural object. So, ow! Just stepped on something. I think it's stone. Cripes. Should have worn my boat shoes. Oh well, live and learn. A little better part. That first part was a bit rocky. Mm-hmm. This is a little flatter.
Nice little walk in the woods. Not too many bugs, that's for sure. If any,
Yeah.
one thing we'd have in Canada would be eaten by
Be
mosquitoes.
eaten by now. Can be a bloody mess. And after our big lookout spot and our walk down, yeah, I know. We're at the planetarium. Actually, we're in the parking lot of the planetarium. It looks like it's full house today.
Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something going on in the Botanical Gardens, which is here as well. All the garden clubs or something are having a competition. Go this way, follow Roger. He knows everything. This is a little better shot of the planetarium. We kind of came in from behind, so this is more the front. Small children running around unattended. I see a lot of that here. So we finished at the planetarium, caught the bus, came back down to the city, and we're sitting in the Pig and Whistle near the city hall and going to have something to eat. And after a long, hot day of sightseeing and touring around, everybody wants to suck back a golden, gay time.
So that takes me to events in the past week, and I've already mentioned the fact that Walter and I yesterday went and got our booster shot. And I have to say one thing, even though these shots are run by the government, which has botched everything, yesterday's experience getting the shot was a very good experience. It was very well organized. I mean, you had to book for an appointment, although, mind you, I was there a little bit early and I could go right in with it. And Walter, he had a booking too, but earlier in the day than mine. And he said the same. You know, no one asked you what your appointment was. You just went in. You had a choice between either Pfizer or Moderna. We took Pfizer because our first shot was AstraZeneca. Our second shot was Pfizer, so we're sticking with the Pfizer. So that was not a problem. They had 12 or 14 stations set up for giving the shot. There was people there to direct you and to manage the people coming in and everything, so making sure everybody was wearing their mask. In fact, they gave us a new mask. When you walked in, we couldn't wear our own mask. They gave us a professional surgical mask to wear. Not sure why they did that, but they did, so it's fine. And in I went. I was in and out of there in about 25 minutes, half an hour, let's say at the most. Half of that time was sitting and waiting. They wanted you to sit and wait for 15 minutes. And they gave you a little sticker with a time on it. It was the time, like when your 15 minutes ran out. And you were supposed to leave that on the chair when you went out. And as you went out, they gave you a document showing that you'd had the third shot. And they also sent you a copy of it with the QR code, so you could put it in your phone or whatever for your passport, for your vaccination passport. They sent it to you by email as well. And it was there in my email when I got home. And I only live 5 minutes away from where I had to have it done. So I was very, very pleased with the way that was working. Very efficient. Although, mind you, in one section, this was done at the college, then we don't live far from the college, and it was in a huge, I don't know if that's the arena or sporting, it might be. Anyways, tons and tons and tons of space, and everything spread out the way it's supposed to be. But on one side of it, they were doing children with the first shot, you know, the 5 and up, now that they can get it. Oh, one little guy was not happy. Didn't see him, but you could hear him. Oh yeah, you thought someone had just knifed him with that. So you know how I feel about little children. Anyways, it made me giggle. No, not really, but but he was really loud and vocal about how he felt about getting the shot. But suck it up, kid, because you need it. I know you don't understand, but you need it. Okay, so we did that. What else? Oh yeah. I cooked. I baked, actually. All right, this is a rarity. All right. I used to bake all the time many, many, many years ago. Basically, Walter doesn't like my cooking or my baking. I didn't think I was that bad at it until he told me I was. Go figure. So fine. He wants to do it all. Fine by me. I don't mind being waited on. But anyways, we had all these apples. I used to eat a lot of apples. I always had an apple in my lunch when I was going to school, when I was teaching school. It was something that was ingrained in me by my mother. You'd come up, I want candy, should have an apple. So we ate a lot of apples when we were kids. I like apples. But in the last few years, I haven't been eating as many as I want. And I get this hankering every now and then and think, I should get apples, especially, at the beginning of the fall when you're getting all the harvest of the apples in and everything like that. And I like a crisp apple. And a lot of the times, the ones you buy in the grocery store during the winter, they've been sitting around for a while and they're not that crisp anymore. Anyways, I had bought a basket of apples at one of the local orchards, in October, and I put them in the fridge. And I've eaten a few of them, but then I sort of got off the kick of eating apples again. So there they sit, and they're starting to go a little punky, as apples will. So I thought, okay, I don't want these to go to waste. So I'm going to make an apple crisp. But then I thought, well, let's look online and see what other recipes we can get. So I found a couple of recipes, one for an upside-down apple cake. Sounded kind of good. And then there was one for these apple bars that you drizzled with like butterscotch sauce on them. And they sounded pretty good too. Of course, none of this stuff is low fat or low calorie because you use all kinds of granulated and brown sugar in them and butter and stuff. But, 'tis Christmas. Haha, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So I made 3 different apple things. I made an apple crisp. I made this upside down cake. And I made these apple bars. Well, I kind of screwed up on the apple bars because I got ahead of myself in the recipe, and there's one part in the recipe where you were supposed to make sort of a crumb topping, and I threw everything, and so you're supposed to put your apples after you toss them in brown sugar and cinnamon and stuff on top of the shortbread crust layer, and then throw the topping on and bake it. Well, I kind of forgot about that, and I threw everything in one bowl, including the apples, and so that meant I couldn't really cut the butter in because I would have had mush. So I figured, well, it's just butter. Let's melt it, throw it in, and toss it. So I did. They're not the prettiest looking things when they were finished, but they taste great. And high praise. Walter thought all the things that I made were good. So that's high praise. So I did a little video where I usually show Wally Cooks. This is Stevie Cooks.
So this week on Wally Cooks, Wally didn't cook. Stevie baked. Yes, and that's not something you'll hear me say very often because I don't do it very often. But I had all these apples that basically have been rotting in my fridge, and I want to use them up. So I looked for 3 recipes for different types of apple things, which basically I think they're all the same kind of thing, just a variation on a theme. And of course I made classic apple crisp. And then this is an upside down apple cake, which the crust tastes good because part of the crust pulled away from it. I forgot to run a knife around it when I turned it upside down, but still, it looks kind of good. And this, I'm not sure about. This could be an apple crisp again. It's supposed to be apple bars, but I kind of got ahead of myself in the recipe, and my crumble topping, I was supposed to cut the butter into that, then mix it in with then put the apples down on the base. There's a shortbread base on this, so I guess that doesn't make it an apple crisp. And then put the crumble on top. Well, I kind of put everything all into one thing and mixed it with the apples, and then I realized too late, so I melted the butter, mixed it all in, stirred it in, and threw it all down on top of the shortbread base. Walter's laughing at me. I think it will be delicious. They're supposed to cool to room temperature, then you're supposed to put them in the fridge for a couple of hours, and then you can drizzle them with caramel, a type of caramel sauce. Yes, these are probably all very sweet because there's a lot of brown sugar and granulated sugar in them, and there's a ton of butter in all of these as well, so this is not diet food. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Thank God I have a freezer.
So what's coming up this week? Well, besides Christmas, we have a big event in our lives together, Walter and I. It's our anniversary. On Tuesday, we will have been together for 38 years. Yep, 38 years. Don't believe me? I'll cut off Walter's leg and count the rings for you. Yeah, hard to believe it's been 38 years and we haven't killed each other yet. There have been times, come close, as in any relationship. So, yeah, so are we doing anything special? Well, what we usually do, or what we used to do, pre-COVID days, was we'd go out for dinner to one of our favorite restaurants, kind of a thing, and splurge. Well, we're not doing that this year. We didn't do it last year. We're having a nice quiet evening at home. Wow, every evening at home is quiet, given COVID. And we have like a bottle of champagne. Walter loves his champagne. He's a champagne slut. I can take it or leave it, champagne, but either way, I'm taking it. And we bought lobster tails. Now, they're frozen lobster tails, but Costco had a good deal on them. And so we're going to do those up with drawn butter. And I don't know what else we're going to have along with it. I had suggested we do surf and turf, but Walter thought, no, it might be too much food. And he's right, because these lobster tails are pretty big. But we'll probably do some little hors d'oeuvre things. Haven't decided yet. And that's how we'll do our anniversary. We don't give gifts. We don't even give cards anymore for our anniversary. I mean, it seems kind of pointless, you know, kind of a deal with that. But yeah, so it's 38 years. Long time. Now, we actually have 2 anniversaries because in 6 months' time, we will have our 7 months' time, we will have our wedding anniversary when we were legally married. And this year, we're coming up to 17 years. Yeah. So we've been married 17 years, but we've been together 38. So that's a long time in the gay world. It really is. So that's coming up. And of course, Christmas Day with my sister as well. And yeah, again, we'll see how that works out. I'm a little apprehensive. Okay. And that's about it for this week. Oh, yes. We have some gifts we need to deliver to some of Walter's family and things like that. Things that I've been making and all that kind of stuff. I get my hair cut this week. That's good. I have a little gift for my hairdresser as well. And there's something to give to the neighbors too. So ho, ho, ho. Underneath our tree, at one point, it looked like there were hundreds of gifts because I made all those gifts for the ladies at Ultimate Sewing. But we delivered those last week over there. And so those are out from under the tree. So besides the gifts for my family and Walter's family, there are gifts under the tree for Walter and for me. And the bugger. I didn't know this. But see, I talked about this yesterday, so I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail, but I have this thing about presents. When you give a birthday present or a Christmas present, the birthday present or the Christmas present must be received on the day of the event, and that is when you open it, not before the event, not after the event. I don't know. It just, to me, it's just me. Walter had mentioned yesterday or something that there's still a gift he's waiting to arrive, and apparently it's for me. So he says you might be getting that after Christmas. But anyways, I'll still take it. He has gone in the past into my Amazon account and seen what I've ordered at Christmas time for him. The bugger. See, I love the surprise. One of his packages that's meant for me arrived at the door, and I signed for it the other day. I purposely did not look at the label or anything on it. I immediately took it in and gave it to Walter and said, I didn't look at that. Of course, one of the gifts for Walter arrived in a similar fashion one day, and he picked it up and he read the label, the box. And I said, avert your eyes from that. Then I find out that last year, he claims he didn't do it this year. He went last year into my Amazon account. He shouldn't have my password. Shouldn't have given it to him. To see what I bought. Yeah. So, that kind of pisses me off. Because to me, it's all about the surprise. It's the anticipation more than the gift itself. The anticipation of what might be there in the gift. Then it's usually a letdown afterwards. But yeah. So anyways, maybe I should divorce him because of that. Nah, there's other bigger issues to divorce somebody over, isn't there? Anyways, I'm rambling now. So I think I should bring this to an end. So this is my last vlog before Christmas Day. So I hope you have a really good Christmas. I hope it's safe. I hope, it gives you a little bit of relief from the anxiety we've been going through over the past 2 years almost now and everything, and gives us at least just a little bubble in time where we can just forget about everything that's happening in the world and just have happiness. So that's my Christmas wish for you. Have a good one. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.